Take 3.
Hey Dave, good to see you, man.
Hey, how you doing, Joe?
Doing great today. So, how's everything with you?
It's okay. I think I'm feeling a little better because I've been able to, I remember last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about, some small things that I could do to, get myself a little more organized and, just kind of reduce the stress that I have or the anxiety from everything that I'm trying to do. And, I found that like just doing a few small things, I got that filing cabinet like we talked about, trying to keep things organized, making to-do lists, still continuing with that. And trying to keep like a regular schedule has helped. Just some little things, that I feel like I've really been able to benefit from.
That's excellent. So it's like relieving the mental kind of pressure that you were putting on yourself before. I know you talked a lot about, how you just wanted to make these like little changes, and you felt like you always wanted you always had something to do. I remember you explaining that in our last session. You said, I always feel like there's something to do.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It seems like you've been kind of taking care of some of that.
Yeah, I still feel like there's always something to do. But if I'm able to organize just a little bit better, break things down into smaller chunks, not wait till the last minute, it seems a little bit more manageable. I still feel overwhelmed at times. I still, feel some anxiety, some stress. It just seems to be a little bit better.
Well, that's good to hear that it's better than before.
Yeah.
So what are those times when you are feeling that anxiety and that stress?
I have a tendency to, to think about, I'll take, every single thing that I need done in the next week, and I will kind of rifle through those things in my head at night or, at different points in the day and be like, well, I had this due on Thursday and this due on Sunday, and I have this obligation on, Tuesday. I have to be here or be there, and I'm just basically like, I stress myself out. Just my way of thinking, the way that I, just the way that I think and I obsess about stuff. I feel like I hurt myself because I really, if I'm laying in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, really, that's the time for me to like start winding down and go to sleep. Really, what can I do about stuff that's due in a week from now or in a few days from now? I feel like I should just be going to sleep, wake up, and then I address those issues when it's time. As opposed to just obsessing about it.
So would you say that it's you're laying there and everything's good, and then it's one thing that kind of triggers this kind of just chain reaction, and you project, pretty far out in advance?
Well, typically it's because I have so many things and my days are so full. It does happen sporadically through the day, but the worst time is at night because that's when things die down. That's when I'm not, I'm not like actively doing something. I'm just kind of sitting with myself and it's quiet. Then my brain kicks into overdrive and it's like, you have this to do, you have this to do, you have this to do, and how are you gonna fit? How are you gonna make time for this? And oh man, like think about this assignment I have, and start thinking about how difficult that's gonna be and how much trouble it's gonna be, and just psyching myself out before I even really get started.
Right. Okay, so when you're in that moment and everything, you start psyching yourself out and all this stuff starts happening, what normally do you do at 2 a.m. when you're laying in bed?
I mean, sometimes it keeps me up. Sometimes I do nothing but continue to obsess about it, and it'll keep me up, which then will make me tired the next day because I didn't get enough sleep, and then it kind of is like a domino effect. It gets away from me, like I stress out about an assignment, I stay up, and then I don't get enough sleep, and then the following day I'm trying to complete all the tasks of that day, and then I get to the time to work on that assignment and I'm exhausted. It's just, I feel like I'm really my own worst enemy at this point. I feel like things are good, and I like the way that I think about things, my lack of ability to stay in the moment really seems to harm me sometimes.
So do you think that, in that time when you start with this idea of stress and this idea of these papers starts growing, do you think that there could be like an intervention strategy for you to implement at that time? And if so, like what do you think that could be?
I don't know. I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and they said they tried to use, and they've had some success with it, which I haven't tried it, but they've had some success in using some like mental imagery stuff where they like picture themselves taking whatever it is that they're stressed out about and putting it into a box, shutting the box, and locking it.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like a great strategy.
It sounds silly, I know, but I've someone brought it up to me and said that it helped them out, and
Yeah.
like I said, I haven't tried it, but it really at this point when I get like that, I've ran out of like any options. I don't know what would work,
Okay.
and really I'm willing to try pretty much anything, I guess, at this point.
Okay. So you said that you have been planning better.
Yeah.
So with planning, do you develop some sort of like action plan for yourself? Say it's Tuesday night and you have a paper that's due Thursday, and you've maybe started, maybe haven't. You Tuesday to Thursday, that's a good amount of time. That's probably enough time to get some stuff done. Do you construct like a step-by-step plan for yourself, or is it more you feel this feeling and then you get started working on it?
Yeah, that's pretty much typically how it goes. Is I feel the anxiety about a project or something that I have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and because I want that anxiety to go away, I start it. I start doing something. That's typically what I do. It's not always what I do, but yeah.
So let me ask you a question. How are you doing in your courses thus far, and how is your schoolwork getting done?
Yeah, everything's getting done. My grades are good. I'm happy with them. Like I said, for all intents and purposes, everything is fine. Everything is good in my life. I just I make things out to be worse in my head than they actually are, and I make like mountains out of molehills. I take something small, and it's almost like I'm looking for something to be upset about. I'm like looking for something to be stressed out about, like doing it on purpose almost.
Right. Do you think there's anything from your past that's contributing to that?
Yeah, I've heard it said before that because of the lifestyle I used to live, very chaotic, active addiction, and typically a lot of drama, a lot of things that are happening that I'm not super, stoked about. I get used to this certain level of pain and chaos, and that's familiar to me. It may not feel good, but I know it. I'm familiar with it, and so I feel like maybe the possibility exists that maybe that's translated over into my life now. Is that things are good. There's not really anything to no drama, no chaos, and so I may be doing that just to kind of create the chaos that I know, that I'm used to feeling.
Yeah. So, like, I want to kind of talk about this moment, like where things starts growing, like where everything's good, you've had a productive day, you've got some work done, you've put things in your filing cabinet, you've had a positive, successful day, and in this moment, is there more? Do you feel like there's like more that you could have done for that day, or does it have to do with the day building up to going and getting in bed and having these thoughts, or is it more projecting in the future? Like, is it your actions throughout the day that's contributing to this feeling, or do you think it's more of like thinking ahead?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that, you know, on a day where I'm just killing it and I'm getting assignments done and, you know, and I cooked, you know, like yesterday, you know, like went to a meeting, did some meal prep, you know, did some homework, you know, went to the gym. Like when I'm like just hitting all those areas, I'm getting a little bit done in each area and I'm like being really productive. Those nights I typically don't stress out too bad.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't ever,
Right.
but typically I don't. It's more or less the days where, you know, I spend a whole day, you know, hanging out with a girl or hanging out with my friends or doing nothing at all and laying in bed. And then by the time the day is over, I'm like, oh shit, you know, like I just spent this whole day doing nothing when I have all of this shit that needs done, and I wasted the entire day. And like really, with everything that's going on in my life right now, I don't really have the time to be just taking a whole day and doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's really when it gets bad.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you is it sounds more of like a, you know, kind of like a this day type of thing, rather than like, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sensing that there's some guilt, you know, when you're laying in bed, you're like, oh man, I didn't get all this stuff done.
Yeah.
But like if we can go back to your positive day, and if you can like kind of just like walk me through in the life of Dave, like what happened in that really positive day for you?
Well, I feel like on a good day.
Or like, I'm talking the one day that you were talking about when you meal prepped and you went to the gym.
Yeah.
Can we relive that day together?
Yeah, so, you know, I got up and, you know, one of my friends had stopped over the house in the morning before the meeting that I went to, and we got to like kind of talk about some things and some of my, you know, stuff I've been dealing with, some of the stuff she's been dealing with, and it felt like real, you know, that always feels good, you know, when you feel like someone's listening to you, and then you can also be a friend and listen too, and then, you know, going to the meeting and getting you know, kind of like getting that little bit of, I don't know, that little bit of spirituality that I get when I go to meetings, you know, that feeling like I'm where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, this is how I get better, you know, and so that makes me feel good. And then, you know, coming home, doing some stuff for school, checking my emails, making sure that everything's, you know, turned in and looking at what I have to do the next week and, you know, and then going to the gym and I had some food cooking in the slow cooker all day. And so I was able to, you know, make sure that I had enough food for the week. You know, just doing all these things, man, and just knowing that I did my best that day. Mm-hmm. You know, and that feels good. I hit like the physical, the spiritual, the mental. You know, I did something for all those aspects of my life, and when I'm feeling that, you know, feeling like I'm just kind of like firing on all cylinders, and I really I couldn't have done it any better. You know, those are the days where I don't typically feel any kind of anxiety or anything like that.
So, that's awesome. What is stopping you from having, you know, being at your best every day?
I mean, ultimately, in my opinion, it's obvious as me, because I control me, and you know, I control what I do that day. So like, you know, I have this awareness. I know that when I'm able to, you know, address all these areas, these 3 areas in my life, my day just tends to run a whole lot smoother. My mood is a whole lot better, and the outcome is better as well because like stuff's getting done. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just really me. You know.
Yeah. So man, that's some really awesome perspective on your life. So in a moment or in a day, you know, when you're having one of those days that you aren't feeling like your best, and it's noon or 1 p.m. and maybe you're recognizing that like, oh man, I can see that tonight's going to be one of those nights, you know, that I'm going to be up late and, you know, obsessing, you know, about the future and be mad about today. You know, what could you do to alter your day at like say 1 p.m.? Like what could you do in those moments?
I mean, I feel like the answer is I should get up and do something. But in those moments, I get, I don't know. I feel like there's just some kind of disconnect somewhere where I just have trouble getting started some days. Like some days I just get up and I'm tired and I don't want to be bothered with any of this stuff and I'm real negative and I'm like, yeah, the day's starting to wind down and I'm not accomplishing anything. Like, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just not going to do anything.
Right.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Right.
But then when the nighttime comes, I'm like, oh no, why'd I do that? Like,
So you second guess your decision because I know it's important, for some people to like have their days where they're resting, where they relax. You don't want to think about, all the work that you have to do and all the things you need to get accomplished. Sometimes it's great to to have that step back.
Yeah.
So do you believe that is important for you to have that step back?
in theory, yes.
Okay. Because you imply that theory into your life. Like it seems like you have these days that, hanging out with friends and stuff like that's positive stuff. So it doesn't, you recognize that I kind of like need to do this for me, but it seems like on the back end you're like, oh crap, I should have done more. So you make the decision in the moment is what I'm hearing from you, that you do like to take that time to relax. And not take things so serious. But then on the back end, you're like, oh man, you're wishing that you could go back in time, and change that decision so you could not be stressed out in that moment where you're thinking about things that are due. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I'm a little bit confused. Like at first I thought maybe I just like pushing things back for the sake of chaos. Well now like you got me thinking that maybe I just don't. Maybe while I recognize that it's important for me to take a day here and there, that when I do, I'm like super hard on myself and stress out about stuff. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, no matter what happens, my stuff gets done.
Mm-hmm.
My responsibilities, they're met, and I handle everything. It gets taken care of. But I guess sometimes I don't want to like. I don't know. I don't feel all right with doing that.
Yeah, like your grades are good. You've been organizing. I hear that you have or sense that you have some very high expectations of yourself, which is great to have. You have a certain level for which you feel like you have to live your life, and you're getting a lot of things accomplished right now.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I have a little bit of. I never really viewed it this way. In myself at least, but maybe I have a little bit of that perfectionism.
Yeah.
Because I do. I feel like there's an aspect of myself that thinks and believes that like, man, you wasted all this time with stuff that was not worthwhile in your life. You need to make up for lost time. You need to, you need to get degrees and you need to get money and you need to build relationships and you need to heal and you need to recover and you need to. Get your body physically healthy. You need to get better at being an adult, organizing, cleaning, laundry, dishes. All this stuff is just like a whole new life that I'm not used to living. And I feel like I should just be killing it at all times.
And it's stuff that you're doing, but it's not snap your fingers and it's not all done.
Right.
It's stuff that I hear from you and I see you doing in your life. And you're definitely working towards that, but it's nothing that we can just like snap our fingers and all of it be done.
Yeah, that's true. It's a process.
Yeah. So that's man, been a great session today. I'm very interested to see like next time we meet if in that moment if that moment happens again, or if just about what's going to change for you in the future. I feel like we've kind of touched on a really important topic for you today.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So, anything else you want to talk about before our session ends?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, it's good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And I'll see you next time.
All right. Good stuff.